liberty, justice, equality, opportunity, democracy. This year, we celebrate 250 years of American freedom. So what? Big deal. Who cares? Happy Independence Day, everybody, and thanks for tuning in. I'm James Peppe, and this is PepTalks. They're quintessential American ideals: individual liberty, rule of law, equal opportunity, democratic self-government. But have you ever stopped to wonder what really makes them so special? I mean, these are all the things we expect and take for granted in this country, right? The things we look to our government to protect and promote. The things that make us feel like we live in the greatest nation on earth. But why? What does liberty actually do for us? How does due process under the law matter in the slightest to most of us in our daily lives? Opportunity for what? Democracy for what? As we celebrate a quarter millennium of freedom, I think it's about time we reminded ourselves, don't you? What is the real point of it all? Freedom? Freedom to do what? So that's a pretty big and dramatic build-up to a very simple question, isn't it? Is it? To the extent that any of us ever stop to think about it, perhaps as we enjoy our 4th of July parades, fireworks, and backyard barbecues, we tend to think that these ideals are ends in themselves. In other words, they are important just because they are. Liberty, justice, equality, opportunity, democracy, freedom. To most of us, most of the time, these ideals stand on their own. They are the end goals, the whole point of government. Not quite. 250 years ago today, Thomas Jefferson presented our new nation with the Declaration of Independence, in which he wrote, "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness." Self-evident, he called them, meaning they require no proof. The right of every human being to live free and determine the course of their own life, to make of it whatever we desire, so long as we don't interfere with the next person's right to do the same. On this Independence Day, that much is still clear, isn't it? We haven't lost sight of that, have we? And yet, my question remains: live free to do what? To determine the course of our own lives? What the heck does that mean? I mean, just look around. What is everyone doing? Exactly how are they determining the course of their own lives? Maybe it's just me, but what I mostly see are millions of Americans who appear to have very little control over their own lives. Everyday folks who drag themselves out of bed every morning, pop their last dollar into a 10-year-old gas guzzler, praying it gets them on time to a job they hate so they can just barely earn enough to pay for one more month of rent, one more week of childcare, one more day of groceries, so they can get up and do it all over again tomorrow. Is that what liberty, justice, equality, opportunity, and democracy buys us in 2026 America? Is that really the point of our 250-year grand experiment in self-government? I don't think so. But the self-evident truth that matters most is the one that is the easiest to overlook, the one for which all the others exist and without which those others become meaningless. It is our freedom to pursue happy lives. There it is. See what I mean? Right there. It's in your reaction, your reflex to say, well, yeah, duh, obviously. But is it though? Is it really obvious? I mean, it absolutely should be. Ensuring our ability to pursue fulfilling, happy, everyday lives absolutely should be the obvious ultimate purpose of our self-government. But is our government actually doing that? Are we the people, each and every one of us, ensuring our own ability to pursue happiness by exercising the power our ancestors fought for and died to give us 250 years ago? Are we? Or have we allowed ourselves to be distracted by petty grievances, pointless resentment, and artificial division that does little more than keep us fighting one another while a privileged few profit from the discord? On the eve of revolution, Thomas Paine wrote and published a short but powerful message to his fellow Americans entitled Common Sense. In it, he laid out all the obvious reasons why they should be independent of the British monarchy and free to determine the course of their own lives. We have it in our power, he said, to begin the world over again. What was self-evident to Paine and Jefferson then should be just as self-evident to all of us today. We have the power to begin the world over again, rededicating ourselves to the obvious but forgotten cause of fulfilling happy everyday lives. This reminder is more than simple-minded philosophy. It is practical reality. Moreover, it is reality that we can and should test. On this, America's 250th anniversary, stop for a moment and consider the state of our union, or perhaps I should say, the state of our disunion. Think about the causes of that disunion, all the anger, the fear, the dissatisfaction, the unhappiness. Now ask yourself, what are the issues at the center of those feelings? And how do they relate to your everyday happiness? Is the government, your government, truly working to ensure your ability to pursue a happy life, however you may define it? Does an intense crackdown on illegal immigration really secure your happiness? Conversely, do unsecured borders make your life better? Is your everyday life enhanced by completely unregulated expression? Would you be happier if government bureaucrats were left to decide what is and isn't true, what can and cannot be said? Is our economy truly optimized in support of widespread happy lives? Or does it offer us just enough to get by and perversely be thankful that it's not worse? Are our elected representatives addressing these and other difficult issues with a keen eye to what will actually make our lives better, happier? Or are they simply playing politics as usual? The same old game of tug of war between uncompromising extremes, with common sense Americans like you and me as the rope. If you follow Pep Talks, you know that we refuse to accept the radical realism that insists we must always choose the lesser of two evils. We deserve way better, and we believe there's no reason we can't have better. But it's up to us. We have the power to begin the world over again. That power is worthless if we don't use it. Like Paine, I believe common sense is alive and well in America, even if we have temporarily lost sight of our true purpose as a nation. That's why today I'm proud to announce the release of my new book, America's Common Sense Pursuit of Happiness. Just like Paine's common sense and Jefferson's self-evident truths, America's Common Sense Pursuit of Happiness is a simple but powerful reminder of what America is supposed to be about and how we can renew that shared purpose by reclaiming control from the corrupt power establishment that serves only itself at the expense of the rest of us. All around us, America's 250th is inspiring reflection and reconsideration. Slowly but surely, Americans are finally waking to the realization that most of us aren't happy with the way things are, and that we should and can have better options than what our broken system keeps serving up. But what about you? Have you had enough? Are you ready to demand better? Are you ready to believe that all the good things they've conditioned us into thinking are unrealistic are actually possible and within our reach? This is what we're all about here at Pep Talks. We're here to let you know that not only are you not alone, you're actually part of the vast common sense majority. That you have far more power than you realize, and that you don't have to settle for the choice of bad or worse anymore. Across decades in and around politics and business, I have contemplated this question of our purpose as self-governing Americans. And every time I have landed on the same answer. We are here for the freedom to pursue fulfilling, happy lives. Individual liberty helps us do that. Equal justice helps us do that. Economic opportunity helps us do that. Representative democracy helps us do that. Everything about America from this day 250 years ago to this very moment was meant to support that timeless purpose. Happiness is a soft word, which is why it's so easy to gloss over in Jefferson's brilliant declaration, and why we still tend to understate it to this day. But it's hugely important. In fact, it's everything, the beginning and the end, the one and only thing that every single human being who has ever walked the planet has had in common. And it bears repeating so frequently, here and everywhere, because it's the crucial point of our humanity that reminds us of our need to overcome less important differences. That's why I wrote America's CommonSense Pursuit of Happiness. It isn't a book about Republicans versus Democrats or about today's sensational political headlines. In fact, it's not about partisan politics at all. Rather, it's about the politics of life. It's about recovering that first principle around which our experiment in self-government was built. Because government is not a be-all, end-all magical force meant to solve all our problems. It's a necessary evil, a basic means to that fundamental end, intended for one purpose and one purpose only: to prevent anyone or anything from unjustly interfering with our relentless pursuit of fulfilling happy lives. And let me add one more thing. As it does that, as it ensures that freedom, it must not be allowed to define and dictate what should constitute those happy lives. That is for each and every one of us to decide for ourselves. This is the true point of America, of our self-government. It is powerful common sense, and we must not let ourselves be fooled by its simplicity. On this 250th Independence Day, I sincerely hope that this reminder resonates with you, and if it does, that you'll consider joining us. If you haven't already, please subscribe to PepTalks and share our work with all your online friends. Links to our social media pages are in the description below, along with instructions for getting your copy of America's CommonSense Pursuit of Happiness. Also, remember to stay tuned for more information about the upcoming launch of Pursuit America, the grassroots influence network we're designing as a practical vehicle to actually restore your power and make government answer to the common sense majority once again. As always, we're grateful for your interest and kind consideration of our important mission. For Pep Talks, I'm James Peppe, America's voice of common sense, reminding you to stay proud, get loud, and remember, positive change is closer than you think. Thanks, everybody.